Welcome everybody to Wednesday Night Live. I was listening to two broadcasts going in my ears at the same time.
Like,
did it. Yeah, we know it's Thursday, but we've got a great guest joining us tonight. Allison Boughner will be joining us. She is the Marketing and Communication Director for ECIG in Charleston. She is also the president of SCVA, the South Carolina Vapor Association, and spokeswoman for the USVA, United States Vapor Association.
Yeah.
Right on. I got it. Props. Hold on.
That's not enough stuff to do, Al.
She is a busy.
You need more things.
She's a busy woman. Also, Tim's going to bring us the latest news and advocacy. Again, do not get mad at Tim for bringing you the news. He's just bringing you the news, guys. He doesn't write this stuff.
Anybody that's got a problem with me delivering the news, it just means that I will talk more.
I'm telling you, we'll have to add a good news segment to your news because it's just all bad news. We're going to have to add
the only way that's going to happen, John, is if I talk about something that's not vaping.
No, we got to get a feel-good story in there somewhere. You got to get a feel-good story in there. We'll work on it.
Good luck.
Good luck. There's got to be one good story out there. Supposedly, there's 13 million of us. There's got to be at least one good story out there.
You know what, John? Here's the truth in that statement. There are 13 million amazing stories and all of that. There's news that can be delivered. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's the stuff that ends up on the TV and in the rags that is the stuff that we have to talk about.
Yeah, we can't help. Mr. Tom is with us. Brian will not be joining us tonight. He's got some things going on. Shocker! He's either late or not coming, so it's all right.
That's all good. It's all good.
However, he will not be getting a fine for not being here tonight because
no fines tonight.
No fines. God dang it. I was going to get that new pairs of Vans. I needed that fine tonight.
Daniel has a really good question already, John.
Well, I am not paying attention to that. I was
You should look at that one real quick.
We will in a second. Let's get to this. Let's jump right into the show and say hello to our co-hosts, Tim, no Brian, Tom, and our guest tonight, Allison. Welcome, everybody. We're going to start with the guy who loves milk in a bag. Tom, how's your week going?
I knew that was coming too. Doing pretty good. I picked up a new expensive hobby.
Yeah. Buying stuff Tim recommends is an expensive hobby.
No. He already has the vaping hobby.
But yeah, I've already got that hobby. But I'm going to share a picture, if I remember how. It's been a while.
Does the word start with Lamborghini?
No.
Oh boy.
What did you buy?
I should be sharing it.
Okay. Oh, he wants to prove that he can. That's right. I forgot. He wants to prove he can hit the box.
This is proof that I do know how to shoot a damn bow, damn it. It's not just wall decoration. Although that one is.
It's an inside joke there.
The other one's right there.
We always make fun of him with that bow and arrow, and we keep telling him that thing never leaves the wall. So he decided to take it out and shoot something with it.
You're right. That one it never leaves the wall. I went out and bought a new one.
Oh, you went out and bought a new one?
Yes.
And then you stood in front of the box with your arrows and poked them through the box.
No, that was
Tom. I have one question. I have one question for this expensive hobby. Is this a bid for the 2025 Summer Olympics?
Not with that shooting.
Okay, just nice grouping. Nice grouping. Just wanted to say that.
Really that was the word I was looking. I was looking for that word, grouping. Yeah. I mean, you
like
hit.
Moose said, that's a bad grouping. I need to tighten it up.
Yeah, maybe get a little closer.
No, just get more accurate.
Tom, just do like all the 3-year-olds do and just walk right up to the box and stick the arrow in it.
Okay. I don't know if Tim had this, but I'm that generation that grew up that actually had archery in 7th grade. The dumbest friggin' idea I've ever saw in my entire YouTube.
Great. I loved it.
My dad saw that and goes, "Are you friggin' kidding me? You're giving 13-year-olds arrows and a bow?" And exactly what he said was going to happen happened. We were shooting them into the bike rack, shooting them over everywhere. They were everywhere, and I just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
Sorry to hear that.
It was fun.
Did it work out for you guys? Did you guys?
I didn't take archery. I'm sorry.
You didn't take archery.
No, I took computer classes. I decided to go a different route.
Yeah. Allison, did you take archery?
I think so, but I'm pretty sure they were like the suction cup. Like,
no, these were
safer.
They're safe. Yeah, it's safer. You didn't grow up with
that was harm reduction in the day.
Tim, what were those things that we used to have with the point and we throw them up and you tried
lawn darts,
lawn darts. Yeah,
those were more dangerous than real arrows.
Yeah, they were.
Especially when alcohol got involved.
That's the best. Is there any other time to play with lawn darts when you're drunk?
No. Those are all bad things.
Well, luckily, we all grew up before social media, so all of our stupid shit is...
Yeah, no phones, no cell phones.
No public record of it.
Yeah,
we actually went outside and did shit.
We did stuff.
Yeah.
You did stuff.
No blackmail either.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And it took your mom like 15 phone calls to find out where you were. So she called one house, you're not there. Oh, they left about 20 minutes ago. You
had to call track you down. Yep. And your ass better be home when that street light come on.
Yep. That's true. Right. That's very true.
Tim, how's your week going, Timmy?
You know, I can't complain. I feel like I have graduated from the quasi karma that I was experiencing for the last month and a half or so. I don't know who had the evil eye on me during that time, but fuck that person. Screw you.
Doll.
Screw that person. They don't deserve. You know. Anyhow. I'm kind of like I found my way to the other side. I'm ending the week on a good note, and I'm ending the week on a good note. So I really can't complain. But I will add to the play outside. We were kicked out of the house, basically. We were forced to go. Like, mom was like, get out of the house. And while a lot of moms would call looking for you, I will divulge how my mom would call us. My mom and dad are massive antiques collectors, which was probably the most hated pastime of my youth growing up, just because I couldn't stand being in the back of a car for 2.5 hours, driving to some bumpkin town in the middle of nowhere to go look at, just old furniture. But anyway, long story short, my mom bought this old Bessie cowbell she hung on the back porch, on a nail, and it had the old school like leather strap, and it was like what you hear in the movies or whatever, and there's that unique clankety clank sound of Bessie coming down the road. That's what my mom had hanging on the back porch, and so when my mom was looking for us, she would come out on the back porch and she'd rattle that cowbell, and when we heard that, we knew it's time to come home. You'd reached your limit. It's time to dinner's ready, or your dad just got home and you just didn't want that part to happen. Yeah. You wait till your father gets home.
Now, see, up here, if we would have heard a cowbell, we just would have thought it was a cow running around.
Not in upper middle class North Arlington, Virginia, the suburbs of DC. No, it was basically full of very eclectic people that made pottery.
Yeah.
Yes. Remember, I live in the country.
Yeah, Tom hears the cowbells. He's just thinking cows bagging milk. That's all he thinks.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cows out there bagging the milk. Allie, how is your week going?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, stressful. Yes. It's been insane. It's been insane. I think everyone's just sitting around on pins and needles waiting, for...
Waiting
dun, the FDA.
Yeah.
And we all are. It's insane. I kind of watch a few other shows during the week to try to get an idea of what everybody else has been talking about, and it's just everyone's just like in limbo. Nobody knows what's going on. Absolutely, they don't know the proceed, and it's hard when you're running a business. You're always thinking ahead. You're always thinking, "What's my next step?" And right now, everybody's just waiting, and that's just got to be horrifying.
We also know our next step will be on their radar, and then probably come after that too. I feel like everybody's nervous, can't do anything
Everybody, and it's been hard on us because we used to have a lot of companies come on, but right now everybody's trying to stay in the back light, out of everybody. We don't want to be on their radar. And I go, the FDA doesn't watch this damn show. You can be on this show. They don't care. It's not like they're sitting at the office. Oh, it's 6 p.m. in California. Let's get the Wednesday Night Live show on.
See what those evil vape companies are doing today.
I do believe that some of these places do actually watch some of our shows, because I think not our shows, but all the vaping shows, to kind of get an idea, because they're getting a little smarter. They're getting a little smart. There's my South Philly right there. They're getting a little smarter. So we are going to jump right into questions for you. And one of the, we don't mess around here. We don't mess around here. Yeah. One of the things that we are passionate about here at Wednesday Night Live is hearing about your journey. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how it all got started?
Okay, well, a long story short, when I was 30, I was diagnosed with a blood clot. My hematologist told me that I had to quit smoking. I didn't. I lived in New York for the first 32 years of my life. I ended up going through some really tough stuff, and I moved to South Carolina really quickly, like 3 weeks. So really stressful. Got a job. They owned a tanning salon and a hair salon, but the owner was vaping, and he had quit his heavy cigarette, addiction with vaping, and he just got really passionate about it, him and his wife, and wanted to give it to other people. So they started buying these little starter kits and selling them under the counter, like a little bin. Then he started developing his own flavors, wanted something that was, more suitable to what he wanted to taste. At the time, it was kind of limited. That hair salon then eventually got turned into an ECIG store completely.
Wow. What a business model switch.
Yeah, opened another one closer where I live. I managed it for 4 years, and that was amazing for me because, you get to see like those people come in and, they're actually quitting in the beginning. They were like, that's all it was about, was just one quitter after another. And they got me on one. And of course I moved here from New York, so I'm paying like $12, $13 a pack. Yeah. And I have my little 650 battery with my little Vision disposable tank and my Pina Colada 18. And I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever had. And I really just quit on accident.
Yeah.
Never picked up a cigarette again, and then when you see like the people coming in and they like want to come around the counter and hug you because their health has improved so much, you actually see what you're doing, like what you're actually doing. And it makes you feel like, wow, big picture,
Yes, I suppose it is your wife. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Something about the last name matching. I don't know. There's just
it could be a brother. It could be a brother.
Yeah. The two you gotta pair up that you can't figure out is Cloud Queen and Captain Nasty. That one you already have to know that those two are attached.
Are together.
If you didn't know, now you do.
Actually, now I want to open up a tan and vaping salon. I got to do this. I come in, vape.
Who knew that was the edge you needed?
It might work. It might work in California. It might work. It's just crazy enough to work here. I can tan and vape. Damn it.
Yeah.
I think you should do a triple threat. I think you should do tanning, vaping, and pizza.
Oh God, no! You don't want all that grease involved with those.
No, that's kind of like your passion.
Pizza is my passion, but we can probably do an espresso bar, vape shop, and tanning salon all together. Get your caffeine, your nicotine, and your tan.
All of the addictions in one place.
I'll get one of the Jersey Shore guys to come down here and do the advertising for me. So do you remember that first flavor, that first one you tried, and you've just felt you do? God, let us
Pina colada. Yeah, it was pina colada. And like I said, moving here from New York, cigarettes were like $12, $13 a pack. Yeah. So I was smoking more because I'm like, ooh, $6, I can buy 2 packs. So I was smoking more, thinking I'm getting a deal.
Right. That's right. I forgot about the money difference there.
Yeah. And that was it. Honestly, that was it for me. I had used it for a few days. Some of the girls I met at work had taken me out to a bar. My e-cig died, and I went to go smoke a cigarette, and it was like the most disgusting thing I'd ever tasted in my life. And I was like, oh my gosh, my taste buds changed that quickly. I didn't even realize, and that was it.
Yeah. Yep. And that was 8. You just start with 18, you said?
Yeah. And now I'm on a 6. I was on a 3, but stress. So
I was gonna say, just be happy it's not 25. with what's been going on. Yeah. All right, with all the nonsense that's going on out there in the last several months with PMTAs, USPS, and now the nicotine tax in the works. I think this is funny because I need to know how do you still have hair, and what keeps you what keeps you fighting? What keeps you going? I like to know what's the passion behind your.
I mean, customers. I mean, I manage the help desk and all the social media for work. And it's just, hearing what they have to say, seeing that they're so upset and stressed out because they might have lived here at one time and moved, and now they can't access their e-liquids or anything really, just the stressful part about the fact that we no longer ship because of all of this.
Yeah.
We just couldn't do it. The online was never the biggest part of our business. Now we have 16 retail stores, by the way. When I got here, like I said, we started with one, so big accomplishment. And it's really hard because we've been in business, for 10 years. Yeah. So you have strong relationships with these customers, these customers, and their questions every day. Are you guys going to stick around? Yeah. What's going on with shipping? Like, it's heartbreaking. And so you want to keep fighting for them, because if you don't keep fighting for them, who's going to keep fighting for them?
Right. Have you noticed more people coming into the stores now, or has it changed? Yeah. That's good, because a lot of them at the beginning were just kind of freaking out and just buying crap like crazy online, trying to get everything they can, and now they're
definitely, I think, buying in bulk for a while, kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then I think it kind of settled down a little bit. Yeah. But to them, obviously, because they're not 100% sure of what's going on at all times. So to them, they felt like, okay, well, they're still here, so we're good. But every time an article comes out or something like what's recently happening comes out, we definitely see people buying more.
Yeah. For me, it's when I see the reviewers. When I start seeing the reviewers freaking out, that's when I went and bought bulk.
Time to panic.
I went and bought bulk. When I hear Mark Fagan and those guys having a hard time getting e-liquid, that's when I say, all right, time to put in a big order.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's insane. I gave you the last question, and then I'm going to give you to the boys. The boys got some questions for you.
Throw me to the wolves.
Yeah, throw you to the wolves. I just worry about the guy to your right, if you're looking at the screen. I want to get your thoughts on this subject, because it's kind of something I thought about. So I want to get your thoughts on women in vaping and their voices being heard, not just in our community, but within the industry. And do you feel that we need more of a female presence speaking for us to the average Joe citizen? You think our message would be more likely listened to?
I mean, is anybody listening to us? It's really hard. It's really hard to tell sometimes.
Great point.
Okay. Yeah. I get that part. Yeah. I understand that part, but I'm not going to shit on what we look like in this industry. No, I'm not going there, but I'm kind of going there. Because it seems like, yes, okay, this is where we are. We're not going to change, but we have to change. But I think a lot of times, if we had a woman's voice out there, not just speaking to our representatives, but actually to the general public, there's more likelihood that person's going to listen to your message than the guy with, I'm sorry, Tim, the sleeve tattoos and the neck tattoo and, the faux hawk and... You see where I'm going with it?
Yeah, I gotcha.
I'm sorry, Tim. Suit up, Tim, you bastard. Suit up.
I'll be all right.
I think that the exact reason that women could be, I don't want to speak for all women, but could be more apprehensive is that, that exact reason. It's a male-dominated, genre, I guess you could say. And for me, it doesn't, when you're a woman and you can put yourself out there, a lot of times it doesn't become about your message you're trying to get across, but it becomes more about like what people start picking you apart. People can be really mean. And I think women might be a little bit more apprehensive because maybe we're a little bit more self-conscious or, think about things too much and, get in our own heads. But my boss has told me millions of times I should get on and do my own podcast. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. But and then again, I think maybe, that would be a good thing because the more voices there are, no matter who, better.
Yeah. There was the group out in Washington. Oh, God, what was the name of them? Tom, you remember the Pink
Brigade?
No, the what?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at a comment.
The Pink Lung Brigade.
Yeah, the Pink Lung Brigade. Yeah. They were a great group up there in Washington. I don't know if they're still in operation. I know a lot of the smaller advocacy groups have kind of panned away, but no, I don't know. I was kind of thinking about that because there's like maybe 2 women that actually own vape manufacturing companies, hardware companies, and one of them's in China and one's here. And I'm thinking it's 10, 12 years into this. You would assume there would be some more out there that own e-liquid lines and own hardware manufacturer companies and stuff like that. And I just feel if they had more of a voice and people would listen a little bit better than they would if, say, someone was just up there screaming and yelling and tatted out. No, I'm kidding, Tim.
I don't know. I mean, optics play a big part in everything, right?
Right.
So, I mean, when you talk about, what does the average Joe on the street who doesn't know anything about vaping, and they're interested in finding out what the 2 sides of the argument are. I'm not saying that all of a sudden everybody has to start dressing in, a suit and a tie to kind of buck that system. But when they kind of have tunnel vision, they're like, oh, well, all I see from the vaping community are the flat build, kind of big bearded, tatted guys, that are blowing these massive clouds. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I have no problem with that personally, being in the vape space. But I'm saying, but to the average Joe who sees that, they're hearing one thing. They're hearing, vaping is tobacco harm reduction. It's helping people get off cigarettes and stuff like that. And I just don't think optically that's what they think when they see that. So, I mean, there's people like Gregory Connolly and other people and Paul Blair and people like that who fight in the vape space that are kind of more, in that sort of, space that, you look at them and you go, okay, maybe I can take this person seriously. But to John's argument about more women speaking out openly and advocating for vaping, it's not like that's absent. There's lots of very influential women in the vape industry that are the heads of organizations and helping people get through the PMTA process, and Lindsay Stroud is out there throwing data all over the place and proving people wrong, and she pisses people off all the time. I mean, I don't know what her quota is, but she's probably 5 to 10 blocks a day on Twitter,
Yeah.
Speaking truth. So, but I do agree that maybe the early on vape industry, before we really kind of had to knuckle down and start fighting and advocating and stuff like that, I think it's like looking at car magazines, right? You go and look at fast car magazines, muscle cars and stuff like that. You see the cool guy who's the dude that owns the car, right? And he's going to know all about what's under the hood. And then the women are the ones that are just kind of laying across the hood, kind of selling the product. And unfortunately, in this world, people are very thin. They won't even look beyond that veil. So I mean, I would completely support the idea of you doing a podcast and speaking out, because it's voices like yours that help. I mean, we're just vapors. That's all we are. We just do this show because we care about our health. We care about the people in the community, and we want to give back. So we don't have that platform.
Yeah,
maybe.
But you're all helping. You're still helping.
Well, I look at the group. What was the group that got invited to DC for the sit down? With the Moms Against, was it
PAVE? You're talking about the aunties?
Yeah, no, the other group. PAVE. Yeah, I mean, and who they use for their spokesman? They use a female because they know they're going to get that attention from her, because you're going to listen to her. She's a mom. Moms, we listen to our mom.
Yep.
So I just think that, I don't know, and you're right, because I mean, for me, I've done pictures on Instagram for over 10 years for this industry, and it's just like, that's what it is. You're a vape model. And I'm like, well, this girl knows a lot more than most of you guys that are commenting on these things, but they don't look at her as someone that can speak up for this industry only to look good for this industry. And I think we need to change that. It's big.
Agreed.
Tommy boy,
yes,
you throw them at her. Tom goes crazy with these questions, so be prepared.
Okay.
I only have 4.
Oh, okay.
Who has been your biggest influence in tobacco harm reduction advocacy?
Oh my goodness, that is not a fair question. Yeah. There are so many good ones.
They're all watching tonight, so.
Oh, of course they are.
Oh yeah, and Biden watches this show too. Just almost joke. Oh, no, okay. That's a joke.
Geez.
Matthew's in
It's
the
really hard to answer. I mean, there's so many amazing people. You got Clive Bates, you have Chauncey, you have Lindsay, like you mentioned. I mean, there's just so many people that fight so hard every day. I don't think it's fair to pick just one person. I mean, like, I would say, like, my biggest, like, oh my God moment was when Grim Green followed me on Twitter. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, I was, because I started watching him in the beginning when all the new products are coming out, after, you know, from selling just basic kits. I mean, that was like, I watched his videos to learn stuff about it because there really wasn't any, you know, resource to be able to educate customers on stuff like that. So I think that was like, I mean, I don't know, but everybody's great. Everybody's, and you see like the dedication from everyone. They just every day, all day, you know, I'm just trying to keep up.
Tom's going to throw, there can only be one. No, I'm joking.
Tom's just disappointed because she didn't say him.
No, I'm not that disappointed.
You were last, Tom.
Save the best for last.
That's right.
I'm just a vapor. That's it. Who do you think is the biggest influence in advocacy?
Oh, boy. Jeez, I'm going to be making enemies everywhere.
Don't worry, I got a harder one. Don't worry.
Allie, grab a glass of wine quick.
I'm drinking bourbon. Okay. Oh man. I don't know.
Just lump them all together. Just a safe answer. All of them.
Pretty much.
All of them. I mean.
There's really no wrong answer either.
Yeah, there is no wrong.
I really don't know because I really look to these people for information and education all the time. So I really don't know who I would say is my, I think is the best because everybody is always offering such great information and they're so on top of it, Yeah. I mean,
you got to go with the old timers, the guys that started it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
The guys that started it all. I mean, I guess I would say Clive Bates.
Yeah.
All right. My next two are a lot easier.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
What do you like to do in your spare time?
Yeah.
Spare time. What is that? You saw how many organizations I donate my time to, right?
Yeah.
My son, I have a 15-year-old son, and he's in marching band. So I've kind of gotten like really into marching band and all of his amazing stuff. He's an amazing trumpet player. So yeah, that's what I do in my spare time. Hang out with my kid.
Those are one tough women, man. I ran into a couple. My sister-in-law's. It was in band. Her daughter, and she asked me to come one weekend and see how crazy it was, because I grew up playing football and never really paid attention to the band. And she said, "Come and check this out. We'll see what these guys and these girls go through." Yeah. It was like that was worse than 2 days at football camp. I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?"
They practice 3 nights a week after school. He went to a jazz camp over the summer.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's so much time. And the high school he goes to, they're like really, really good. So it's a lot of great people, and that's really time consuming for me because I think when he joined the band, I also joined the band.
That's what she said. She said the same thing. She said, "Band mom."
It's worth every minute though.
What's a band mom van look like?
I don't have a van. I have an SUV. That's as far as I'm going to go.
There you go.
No Chrysler. What is it? Town and Country.
It's a Town and Country.
No, thank you.
An Odyssey.
Odyssey.
No,
all right.
not for
And
me.
my last one is an extreme softball of a question. What is your favorite time of year?
Fall.
Oh, you went soft. You went softball. I thought you were going to ask her about I thought you were going to go barbecue.
No.
I like fall. I haven't seen one in 8 years since I've lived in South Carolina. I really like it.
I haven't seen any at all. I always see summer here in California.
Nothing. If it gets to like 60 degrees, it's like a miracle here.
We've already got leaves changing up here.
It gets to 60.
So jealous.
Yeah, if it gets to 60 here, I'm already got pants and a sweatshirt on and double socks. No. All right, here comes the hardball questions, Allie.
Yeah, well, I'll come right out of the gate with the hardest one, and this one kind of. Well, no, I mean it's easier. I think it's like lifting weights, right? It's like go ahead and lift the heaviest thing first, so that the other shit just feels wicked easy at the other end of it. So
Jim threw in wicked.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, so it's a question that we tend to ask. So we have a lot of people come on the show and share their journey. We ask them a lot more questions typically. But one of the last question we ask is, and this is a hard one, and just be objective. So, but
okay.
you have to provide some form of an answer. So this, if you could take the vaping industry in totality, and there was one component or element or thing about it that you could sacrifice or get rid of, that would allow the remainder of the vaping industry to survive and thrive, what would be that one thing you'd be willing to concede about vaping that you begrudgingly give up and say, all right, I can let that one go, if that means vaping is saved for everyone else?
I mean, in my own personal opinion, because I don't use it, salt Nick.
Salt Nick.
Yeah. But I personally, the thing that makes me the most upset is, when I connect with people on LinkedIn or when people message me on Facebook, it's all of these people selling still all of these devices, trying to promote them to vape companies and things like that, because I literally yell at the computer every time. I'm like, this is the problem. You're trying to do these, you're trying to literally sell me products, jewel pods, that are not allowed to be sold.
Right.
And thinking that I make those decisions for the company. I'm not the purchasing manager, but I think that, I mean, honestly, and really any other company that wants to succeed, like we saw with, Biddy, but wants to then try to condemn the rest of the industry as they succeed.
Right. Yeah, I think asking that question that I asked several times, I think the most common answer is Nick salt. I would argue at least the high milligram, the 50s and stuff like that. I just don't think that there's too many vapors on the planet. If it's like a 4-pack a day person that's trying to transition off and they kind of need that there for a short while and then dial down, I could easily part ways with like the 50s and stuff like that. I think 25 is probably about as much as you really need to go. But that's a good answer because we align that way. So then my second question is, so I always say that, I didn't really follow politics all that much. I'm 53, and so that's probably sad to state that I didn't ever really pay much attention to politics getting through life. But it wasn't until I got into vaping personally that, my eyes opened up, especially in the last 4 years, let's say, and just, up until now. What coming from like the business aspect of it and working in vape shops and helping people at the personal level, what was sort of the tipping point for you that you realized you needed to maneuver and go get involved with all these other different organizations and really start fighting and advocating?
I feel like the vaping industry has always been under fire, really, but I didn't really know how much until I started working on the back end of the business. Because when you're in the front end, you don't really get as much of that. You're busy with customers all day long. That kind of stuff can kind of, really go past you. But working in the back end, getting involved on Twitter, the vape apocalypse was really the turning point. Going to that rally really lit a fire, I think, for a lot of people. You're not made us feel like we're really not alone. There is a lot of us, and we are willing to go and stand up for ourselves. I also never followed politics growing up. My parents never really did, so I really never paid attention. I guess a part of me felt like it's, they're going to do what they're going to do regardless, right? They're the government. Now I know that that's the truth.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that was really it. Hearing that, that, we're going to get rid of vaping and stuff like that. Thankfully for us, I think Trump was, willing to listen to our side and made a decision that he thought was best. And I think that under that decision, maybe we could have all survived, but I don't know now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so that kind of, I would tether into the next one. So in terms of advocating, I mean, we try the best that we can as individuals. I mean, I go out there on Twitter and I make my comments and I argue the best I can and try to make valid points or at least parallels. But do you feel personally that it's been kind of a struggle kind of getting the vaping community to kind of, to advocate along with you? I sort of feel like sometimes we try really hard. We're like, hey, join CASA, do the calls to action, do all this stuff. I mean, it takes 2 minutes of your life and all that stuff. And I feel like we kind of reached this sort of plateau where people were like, they just don't feel like it's either worth it to try to fight anymore and it becomes sole survival. But do you feel like that's been a struggle, sort of getting people on board and unearthing that 13 million of us that really should be fighting and not the 2,000 that sign a petition?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like people don't really get involved until stuff happens. It's like, I feel like advocating is a full-time job and you have to be consistent. And I feel like people are like, oh, something really bad's happened. Let's get together and figure something out. But it has to be something that you really, are doing all the time, because this stuff is going to keep happening, obviously. I also feel like we're missing like a large part of the demographic, because a lot of the older vapors are not on Twitter so much, and also on, Facebook. I mean, I had to teach my mom how to even unlock her phone. Sorry, Mom. I'm sure you're watching.
Yeah, no, same here.
But I think, I spoke with somebody and it really hit me hard. It was an older person, and I told her about the PACT Act and everything because she was wanting to know why she couldn't get anything shipped. And she's like, I'm retired, honey. I got nothing better to do all day than harass my local representatives. And I was like, that's what we need. That's what we need. Yep. Somebody that can really commit some time to doing those things. And I mean, not for anything, but that age group, that's more likely they're going to have success with, reaching out to people like that, because that's an established person, a voter, and like she said, I got nothing but time to donate to this stuff. So sometimes I feel like that is it. Everybody has a job. Everybody has a job, aside, unless you're lucky enough to just be able to advocate, for a living. But, it's life gets in the way. But at the end of the day, this is really important.
Right. Yeah, I do feel like that's a massively missed demographic. I just feel like politicians are blind. I mean, I've just come to the conclusion that the only word that all of them know is Juul.
Juul.
And that's all we are. That's all we are.
Exactly. And they just they think that we are that, and they don't have the first inkling or clue. But I wondered about that. I'm like, what if you could mobilize the older community? I mean, I get it that maybe they're not all as technically savvy as a lot of us are, or don't choose to want to be on social media. But I wonder if you could maybe contrive up some local chapters, of who can write. They write letters. They know how to do that. They know how to
write letters.
They know how to pick up a phone. Things like that. I feel like maybe that might create some kind of a connection back to some politicians if they realize that it's not just 14-year-olds in high school who are sneaking a Juul and trying it a couple of times and then kind of they're over it or whatever. And they don't understand the idea that we're saving people's lives. Yeah. These are people that if they continue to smoke, they're not going to have that ride off into the sunset,
And these are people that have been smoking since they were 13.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they finally got off cigarettes, and they're like, what do you mean I can't get my stuff? But I can go up to the store on the corner and get a pack of cigarettes anytime I want.
Well, the craziest thing also, I mean, they have to this industry has to realize that generation is the generation that actually goes to the polls and votes.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can look at every statistic since the beginning of time that we've been voting. They're the ones that show up. It's always that 55, 65-year-old demographic. They show up, they vote. It's us that go, yeah, maybe I'll go, or I'll do the absentee ballot. It'll come, you'll forget about it. It's sitting on the counter. But that group shows up and votes.
Right.
And I think we really need to focus on that group, because they're the group, like Tim is saying, they're the group that's not educated. They have no idea what this is.
You'll be so surprised how many people have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, they have no.
Yeah, I get that sense too. Like they don't even have the first idea that it's really getting that bad, that it is getting pretty dark. And
we stopped shipping in March, and I'm still getting messages from people. Are you not shipping anymore? And I'm like, oh my goodness, like really, like they just, and it's really sad because the message is just not getting out there. You know?
Yeah, it's not. We've had a couple companies that had started a month before with their websites, letting everybody understand.
We did too. We sent out an email every week, so we were, and I never got it, and I'm like, oh, well, yeah.
It didn't say free anywhere. That's what
discount code.
Sorry, but I was kind of wondering. Speaking of Juul, real quick. I mean, do you think if it would have been anybody other than Juul, let's just say an e-liquid manufacturer that just hit that Juul numbers, that plateau, and got sold to Big Tobacco for, what did they sell for? $4 billion. What was the total number? Was it 4? I think it was $4 billion. Do you think we would still have this? Would you think that our government would have went after that liquid company like they did with Juul? Or is it just Juul's advertisement that just fucked them?
I think it was their advertisement.
But I think it's a little bit to do with the advertisement, and then people seeing that big number, seeing $4 billion that a vape industry, a company in the vape industry just sold for $4 billion. That kind of opened up eyes.
That tobacco money, right out of their pockets.
And then you have to also remember that people saw that number, how much they own the market. That owning 89% of the market, selling for $4 billion, that's enough to make any government official open and look into it. But do you think it would have been the same way if it would have said, let's just say if it would have been Cutwood, which never mind, that's a bad example because they did sell a Big Tobacco. Let's throw out another name. I can't use Cutwood.
Use that one.
Oh, what are you trying to get me? Are you trying to get me? Are you trying to get me killed, Tom, by using that name right there? Yeah, okay, 5 pounds. Say 5 pounds sold for $4 billion and had 88% of the e-liquid market. You think we would have that same?
No, I don't know. It's really hard to say. I would have to say no. I mean, I personally feel like harm reduction is harm reduction. And at the end of the day, I wish we could all just make it, because there are a lot of people that do depend on Juul. Right. And I feel like hating a company because of what they've done, even though I do not like what they've done. Okay, I don't. But I don't want that alternative to be taken away from somebody when that's their only alternative. Yeah. But it's like almost like comparing like the FDA PMTA process to how the political, circus that it's become. Like, it's not about politics, it's about public health. So you kind of have to put like your bias aside, which is hard, really hard at times. But I do believe that the size, the fact that it's easy to hide it. I mean, I think, no kid, I've never seen a kid get caught with a mod in school. Yeah. You can't really hide that or your big cloud of vapor. I mean, not that there's not small devices out there, but I just feel like they were way too easy to get.
Yeah. I agree with that, Steve. I would say I feel like once the convenience of the pod system started showing up on the market, moreover Juul, because Juul was using the C-store channels and things like that to get their products, and that the kids couldn't go into the vape shops. They might have.
I mean, the percentage of the actual, issues with underage sales was in convenience stores, and that's what they were buying.
Right. Yeah.
Vape shops are so terrified; they don't want to do anything or make any mistakes. A lot of them are vigorously checking ages, and we have Trace Verify where we scan licenses and stuff. Like, the gas station is not; they don't care.
Right. And you don't have knowledgeable people behind the counter. I mean, there's so many other divots
Factors,
that make it a little bit more easy for younger kids to get their hands on things like that. Whereas,
just like I used to buy cigarettes at the convenience store.
I think everybody tried, or they knew somebody who could, or knew a store that would let it slide. I think additionally on top of that too. Is that I think that the vape shops in general, I mean, maybe not so much the smoke shops. I know that you can that can be looked at differently, but the vape shops wanted nothing to do with Juul. Just knowing their association back to big tobacco,
right?
We definitely wanted to keep some separation between no, we're not gonna be in cahoots with Juul and sell those products under our roof, because that's basically big tobacco in our shop, and we're trying to get away from that. So,
but there was that bias even before, though, Tim. Before they even got sold, there was something was going on that the vape shops just didn't want to carry Juul, and maybe it was just jealousy that they grabbed that big of the market so quickly.
Yeah,
because it just didn't make any sense to me that they weren't going to carry. It's harm reduction. Harm reduction is harm reduction. But it had to be jealousy. It was just, I mean, they grabbed the market so quick. I mean, it was just instantly, all of a sudden it became, they had the money. They had the money. And I think a lot of it has to do with that as well. Not just the money, but the fact that these weren't guys from the community. These were businessmen that saw something and went for it and put it, and honestly, pretty much made a pretty unbreakable product. That thing did not break. I mean, I threw mine in the wash by accident, set it down for a little bit, and came back, I think, 2 days later, and it worked. I mean,
let's talk realistically, though, too, John. I mean, Juul was this sort of sleek, kind of cool thing that was very user friendly. You didn't have to know about filling things and changing coils. It was like that when the pod's empty, you throw it in the trash and you're done, and you pop another one in. And that whole user friendly experience is really sort of what gave them a leg up. I mean, I would argue if Juul was, you had to refill the pod and you had to kind of pick your juice and you had all these other nuances to it, then I would say we came from a place that we kind of already had all that stuff. We had the blues, we had the Enjoys, we had the little Ego Twist vaporizers. I mean, all those were, for the most part, user friendly. I mean, it wasn't, and then the replaceable coils started playing a factor. So it's just you screw one in, you unscrew it, and you throw it in the trash. So I mean, it's just, I think that they were just a humongous advertising juggernaut, and all those other products could not find their way into those mainstream selling channels, like C-stores and gas stations and things like that. Maybe on a small scale. I remember going to like Walmart and Target and stuff and you would see some vape shit behind the counter. Yeah. And I almost felt weird, like, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. I'm not buying vape shit from Walmart, but
Walgreens here.
But what do you got? Let me see what you got.
You still
right?
and let's not forget, Juul had the mango. They had the mango
and the cotton candy. Damn that Juul.
Damn mango, man. It took the world by storm.
Yeah, and they really did just paint a big old bullseye on their back. So
Daniel wants us to answer his question. You guys can I just speak to someone personally? First, I wanted to say to Curtis, congratulations, man, on 12 years of vaping and staying cigarette free. Absolutely an amazing accomplishment. You've actually been vaping longer than I have, so
10 years tomorrow.
He's 12, so and on top of that, and no, we're not ignoring you, Curtis. We didn't put you on mute. You have not been shadow banned in the Wednesday Night Live show chat. I'm just letting. Okay, go. You can do Dan's question. Yeah. What's the question, Thomas?
Legitimate question for the panel regarding I don't know. I didn't know they was doing that. Is it a gift? I don't get that. Is that something that's just going on in your state? Loophole. See, we don't. I'm new. We're not. I was going to say California's a new.
No, he's talking about the federal tax that's coming.
Right.
Potentially.
Yeah. But we'll address that too in the show.
What is this gift thing? Where if it's gifted, it's not taxed.
I don't know.
That's the problem. We need to stop looking for loopholes.
Well, the only part about gifting that I'm familiar with, I'm not familiar with the weed gifting process. I think what he's trying to say is that the exchange or the transition of buying it, if that's what you would like to call it, is that I basically go, hey John, I'm gonna gift you this Abyss mod. Right, and you're like, bro, you're such a nice dude. Here's $20. Thanks for the gift. And so it's a nuance in how it's verbalized or how the transaction takes place. I don't know. I feel like if you're trying to keep us legal and get around some element of illegality, I don't even think you need to go that far if they're going to go into a prohibition or banning it. I mean, just screw it. Just pull up with the trunk of your car and open the trunk of your car. I thought about stuff like this. I'm like, you know how much product is out there floating around in the world? I mean, no vape shop owner is going to turn around the day that they got to like pull all that stuff down off the shelf and they're going, I'm not throwing this shit in the trash. I'm going to go ahead and get me a little pod that I'm going to store down the street or something like that, and figure out a way how I'm going to get products to my customers, even if it means I'm a criminal and and I'm criminal. But I'm saying
I got watches.
Why throw in the towel because the government says, hey, we're taking it away from you? No, screw that. We're going to try to keep people vaping as best as we can. So
that's right. Yeah.
I wanted you to talk a little bit about what you do over at South Carolina Vapor Association, because we'd love to hear what the advocacy groups are doing. And a B side to that, I'd like to know: do you guys talk with other groups, other advocacy groups? You guys work together? Because it seems like there's a little bit of miscommunication between groups when it's really needed, when we really need you guys to be together.
So we actually have a group chat. We downloaded GroupMe, and it's an app where you can chat. I'm sure you know. And we talk in GroupMe all the time, share all the information that's going on. We used to have a lot more meetings. I think everybody's kind of just waiting around, and kind of praying. I know that the FDA has been sending out MDOs like hotcakes, and just that's what I'm wondering is what's going to be left to tax at this point. But like it seems every other day. So we're kind of just right now kind of just supporting each other. In the past, we've met with local legislators. We've actually changed some people's minds. We had one Gilliard here. We had a meeting with him, and he really was convinced that we were Juul. Just like you said earlier.
It's crazy.
And had the opportunity to talk with him and change his mind. And he actually pulled something that he had written into a bill out. So that was, a win. Writing letters, sending out surveys, just educating, our local legislature, about what's going on, because we want to keep them updated and they do know us and we know them. So it's kind of nice to keep that relationship going and just say, hey, this is what's going on. And you still got our back, right? Like you still see the importance of this, right? But, when it comes down on a federal level, it's a little scarier.
Yeah, it's a little, Now you're messing with the big boys. Yeah, there's only one other thing they can tax, and that's our exhales.
Yeah.
So, that's it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And this is actually for, everybody and chat. How many people here filled out that latest CASA call to action?
Right here.
I did. Yeah,
I did.
No, I do them the moment they drop.
At least 4 would say we did.
And Tom, everyone in the chat is in luck tonight because that is my advocacy portion of the show. So you're gonna hear about the cigarette tax, the vape tax, the cigar tax, basically the tobacco tax. They think they're gonna tax the shit out of you, and you'll just quit.
Yeah.
Wrong. I've been to Australia. They could get to $100 a pack, and the Aussies will still smoke. I promise you that.
They'll still smoke.
I'm seeing a lot of yeses, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I shared it with the group chat with all of our employees. Every single person I could possibly get it out to. I sent it to my mom. She filled it out. Everybody.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, about family, getting your family involved and how important it is, because they, like we say, they see the changes in you. If anybody's going to see the changes that you are going to take place from smoking to vaping, they are. And they should be giving you support. I mean, I think it's time we started getting them more involved. And get moms involved. Everybody get their mom involved.
That's a really great question for Allie. And I don't come from a family of smokers. So, I obviously didn't. I think the battle that I had to fight more over was just they wanted me to quit smoking. They knew I smoked. They wanted me to quit smoking. I get it. It's like, every phone call, mom and dad, you really should quit that smoking, and then when I started vaping, they kind of viewed it as effectively being the same thing. Did you have to work hard or spend a considerable amount of time convincing people in your family that what you were doing was better for you than smoking, and that, you knew what you were talking about? Was that hard to convince people? Did they support you in the vaping journey?
My mom, absolutely, because she saw me go through having that blood clot. So she's like, you need to stop smoking. And what I did was, and this is a true story, went home to New York to visit and brought a bottle of e-liquid that I was vaping at the time, brought it to my hematologist and asked him if this was okay for me to use. And he said, yeah. He said, as long as you don't have any heart issues or anything like that, he said, you might want to cut down the nicotine over time if that happens. He's like, but this is fine. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And that was solidified her, faith in the fact that it was okay. But I know that she's seen the changes in me, completely different. I'm more active, lost weight. I'm able to, be more active with my son, breathe, taste more, it's a whole lifestyle change. And that's what people don't understand.
Yeah. For my mom, it was my skin and my smell. She's like, she knew right away. She's like, your skin looks better. You look a lot healthier. And that didn't take very long, maybe a month and a half. Yeah. And all of a sudden she goes, oh, your face doesn't look so oily. And, so And they're the ones. That's why I always tell people, I know it's hard because, some of our parents didn't smoke and they don't understand why we smoke, And then depending on where your parents are from, are they Italian and Mexican, that makes a difference. It's amazing how just depending on where your family's from, how that affects your decision to quit smoking.
Yeah, my mom was like a casual smoker. Like she had like a pack of Marlboro Lights in like the butter tray in the fridge. And like I think the first time I smoked a cigarette that wasn't stale, I was like, oh, well, this is different. Like, because I was just stealing them from her. But my uncle, smoked 2.5 packs a day. And I got him on a vape when he came down to visit me. And he was really sick, diabetic and everything for a long time. And so that was just, normal. Everybody smoked,
Yeah.
They're like, I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with the repercussions later, right?
Unfortunately, Moose, those are the people we don't want to mess with, is ATF. ATF doesn't answer to anyone. They can do whatever the hell they want. And they are the last people you want knocking on your door. So that's why I think
they won't knock.
They won't knock. They'll kick
it in.
I think the vaping community, the industry itself, when they saw ATF getting involved, I think that's when people really started opening up their eyes, because we've seen on TV what these assholes do, and they don't mess around, and they're not going to mess around. They're not going to wait for a search warrant. They're not going to wait for anything. They're just going to go in, strong arm you, take all your stuff, and then go in the parking lot and vape it.
Yeah, throw your ass in jail. Vape all your shit.
Vape your shit. This mango is unbelievable. We wanted you to talk a little bit about ECIG and what you do over there.
Oh man, everything.
Everything.
I have literally the best bosses in the entire world. I was so blessed. I literally came here with my son and nothing else. I was living in my mom's house at 32 years old, which I hadn't done since I was like 22 years old. So it was difficult. And I got an opportunity, started small and worked my way up. literally have so much respect for them because it literally comes from a place of, just wanting to help people, which I really admire. But not only that, they just, I've been doing artwork. We just redesigned all of the store artwork. So I did all that. Do the Photoshop for all the TVs in the stores, all the labels and stuff like that. I filed our PMTAs.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
We're going to talk about that process for you.
Oh, boy. I'm going to have some PTSD from that. But, we all do. There's a small staff in the warehouse. It used to be bigger before everything happened. Yeah. But now, we all kind of wear a lot of hats. But it's a really rewarding, great environment. And I really love my job.
Did you guys have to cut some of your line because of PTM? You guys did
cut some of our line, close some of our stores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is you guys the store that you work out of? Do you have the lounge area as well? Is that coming back a little bit?
Well, I work at the warehouse.
Oh, you work at the warehouse. Oh, yeah. You're all lounging around.
It's called the break room, John.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, we have like a flat screen TV. Yeah, it's really nice. But so we have like our lab on one side, and then the offices, and then like kind of the conference area with the rest of our offices. Our stores have chairs and tables. I noticed. I don't really know if people hang out like they used to. They definitely used to hang out like when
COVID.
Yeah, you couldn't get rid of them. It's like I'm a therapist and I sell you your vape. Yeah.
COVID kind of screwed that. I used to love doing that here in Modesto, and I think after what Tim's article from last week, I should have went down there because we have Planet of the Vape, Planet of the Apes here, whatever. Vapes.
I hope you don't have Planet of the Apes. I'm never coming to California ever again.
Yeah, we got those too. But yeah, I haven't been in there since I saw Tim's thing, so it doesn't sound like they're going to make it through. So I was just wondering if because that's a local Sacramento company, and I don't know how many, 4 or 5 stores, and we had this a legitimate vape shop in Modesto for once, and now we have Just Switch the Vapor is the name of it, but they're a house brewing. They do in-house stuff, so I don't know what's going to happen to them. So I think all that we have left now are the quote-unquote smoke shops that have the one shelf in the very back of the room with, 2 tanks, 5 bottles of e-liquid. It's got spider webs.
Milligrams.
It's got spider webs and dust all over it, because nobody's going in there for vape stuff,
I noticed the vape shop around the corner from me. The only when I first moved here, we had like 2 Mad Vape stores.
We have Mad Vapes juice bars in our
okay. And I never actually did go into the Mad Vapes vape stores. Yeah. But they disappeared long before like all of this stuff kind of happened. I don't know why they couldn't sustain. I don't know if it was just that vaping wasn't popular around here. I don't
know. I know that they did close some locations, but I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I never got an answer. They just I remember driving by it 1,000 times, and then I drove by it, and I would by the building, and I'm like, oh, they're gone. And then maybe a couple years ago, there was a guy in my neighborhood that was into vaping, and there was a local vape shop that was having kind of like an open house kind of night, like a pizza night. You could come hang out and have a piece of pizza and stuff like that. So I was never a vape shop kid. Like I just never, it's not that I didn't like them. I didn't know anybody that vaped. So I was probably not as inclined to just kind of wander into one on my own and try to settle in or be part of that crowd. But we went there and no offense to them or anything like that, but I was talking about things and they were like, oh, what's a squonk? And I'm like, aren't you the vape shop? I don't know. But at any rate, I drove by the other day, and the signs off the storefront, so they're gone. They seemed more like a house juice kind of vape store. I think they had some hardware, but most of the flavors they were selling were not.
They were made.
Yeah, they were all back in the back, made in the back or whatever. So maybe that was the end of them because of PMTAs. They knew it was either that. They could have switched to their product lines and bought like the mainstream juice flavors and stuff like that and stayed there, but I don't know, or maybe COVID wrecked them. I don't know.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned that name, what happened to Beyond Vape? They just vanished. You guys have heard of Beyond Vape?
I know the name, but I don't know. It seems like so many things have come and gone over time that you don't really think about it much anymore. It's like
they had hardware in some beautiful, beautiful stores, and they were in New York. They were pretty much everywhere. New York, Chicago. They had a store in San Francisco, but that one got shut down. And then I know they had one in Santa Cruz and a couple other places. But they made mid-tier level hardware, a little bit better than Beyond Vape. I'm sure some of the guys in chat remember Beyond Vape.
The name is very familiar, but I just don't. I never saw any of their stores or anything here. Do you guys think that the online market challenged vape stores and being able to stay afloat? I mean, we could have the eternal argument about markups and vape shops and stuff like that. I don't want to go there.
Space Jam is gone.
But I'm just saying, I feel like the online market could have potentially compromised a lot of storefronts.
Yeah.
For sure. Space Jam is gone, thank God. just kidding. Just
that
kidding.
Was someone's favorite juice.
You can ask 20 vapors, and at least 11 or 12 of them is going to say, "Oh my God, Space Jam was just the best stuff ever." And I'm just like, okay, yeah.
I never had one that I absolutely liked.
There was one, and I can't remember which one it was that was just actually banging. It was really good. But once I realized the only place I could buy them was a gas station, then I realized, okay, I'm not getting good stuff here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. How old is that? How dark is that juice?
You'd be surprised the stuff that Brian and John still have in their little vape stashes. Brian is actually, I think, cresting on being like basically the vape Smithsonian at this point. Yeah. Like literally, I think some of the e-liquid he has is mummified at this point.
It's like a vintage.
And it's weird because he still uses it, and he'll be like, "Yeah, I've got maybe like 3 mils left of this one juice," and he'll pull it out, and he'll show it to us, and I'm like, "I'm not touching that shit with a 10-foot pole, bro. You can vape that all you want, and you can be proud of your antique collection over there." But I don't know. If it starts getting a little dark, it's probably gonna get deep sixed around here.
Well, I had probably a good 4-year supply, and it's just because I did the pictures for a lot of companies, and they just kept sending it to me. But I'm down to I probably got about 1.5 years supply left because I gave a lot away. I just anytime someone said, "Yeah, I'm going to switch to vaping," I'm like, "I got you. I got hardware up the ass. I'll give you whatever you need. I'll get you started. Don't quit." I have 4 people once every 2 weeks stop by my house so I can re-wick their stuff. I'm just like, all right, guys, it's not that hard,
I wish I had that though. You know what I mean? Like I always get really like jazzed when I run into people who are kind of like maybe still kind of green in the vape space. Like with this job I just got. One of the guys in the back is a vapor. Like one of my warehouse guys is a vapor, and Garrett, the other guy, he was a vapor, and then he kind of went back to cigarettes, and then Archie kind of hooked him up with one of his vapes, like a little mini Aegis jam, and so Garrett's like coming back, and I'm like, and now I'm like rolling in, like super collector, RDAs, RTAs, wick and and I'm probably like Curtis probably thinks this about me. He probably thinks I sound like Charlie Brown's teacher half the time. Like womp 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 womp. And I'm sure that's what those guys are like hearing when I'm talking to them. But it's just my excitement about vaping and knowing that they're doing it and that I have information that I can pass on. And so really my mission with those two now is I haven't really sucked them into the advocacy place yet. They don't seem like the type, but it's more about giving them information about like what's going on. Like you guys need to understand, what's the MSA, and you need to understand what's motivating these politicians to be against us, and you need to understand the forces that work against us. And so while you feel like you're okay right now, the ice is thin. You're getting ready to fall through, and I'm just saying, don't worry though. I'm not going to be able to supply you, but I know people and I know some connections, and so I can continue to help you. But I just want you to know that while you're excited about that new Aegis Max that you just bought, you might not have anything to put in it here pretty soon. So I'm just prepping you. Yeah. But I don't have that much.
Just a heads up, everybody out there, I'm putting all of Allison's links to ECIG Charleston. I already put them in again. I'm going to put them in again. South Carolina Vapor Association's that's their Facebook page, right? South Carolina. No, I have their website. I'm sorry, your Facebook page. Yeah, the Facebook page is the ECIG, right?
And ECIGCharleston.com. Yep.
And her Twitter account. Get over there.
Yeah, follow her on Twitter. Like me. Follow her on Twitter.
Follow her on Twitter and get on there and retweet her stuff. Get the word out. That's what we need.
And I think, as much as I think Twitter is the perfect space to talk and advocate for vaping. If you want to if you are a keyboard warrior and you feel stronger typing your words out, I always say, Twitter's great. I mean, yes, to some extent, a lot of us, we kind of live in our own little bubble, because we're talking back and forth about stuff that we all agree on in terms of vaping. Yeah. But actual people who own these accounts are the ones that are populating them. It's not like Facebook where you've got some, paid admin who puts the post up for this politician or that politician. You actually sometimes get responses from these people, and they may never answer you or acknowledge what you have to say, but it's them.
Yeah.
And they hear you talking. So if you want to speak.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. If you want to speak, that's a great place to speak. And if you just follow Tom and John's on there, the Wednesday Night Live show's on there, Allie's on there, I'm on there. If you just start with us and look at our followers list, you can get connected pretty quickly with a lot of the bigger voices that are hanging around out there, and that real quickly will lead you to all the people that you can just, if you want to just be mad at somebody, come on Twitter. Come on Twitter.
Being mad at somebody only using 140 characters, join Twitter.
Yeah. If you want your
that's a challenge. That is a challenge.
I'm like, I can take out a period here.
Here. Oh, I hate that part.
Ampersand.
I hate that part. You start looking at it, trying to figure what you can take out.
You're like, wait, is this English? What I'm left with?
Can I just use the one letter instead of writing you? Can I just write you in there?
I win at Scrabble. Thank you. I win at Scrabble.
That saves you 2 spots right there. I mean, you start getting to that point where you're just like, okay, I could take this out. I could take that out. It'll work.
Yeah.
But
and I would add on top of that, now is actually a really good time to speak out, because there's a lot of people on Twitter right now, especially like the antis and the people who are against vaping, politicians in general, and even people who, I guess, I disqualified Glance and some of those other idiots that are out there, but there's a lot of people pounding their chests right now, and they're like really proud of like the fact that they had some part in getting the FDA to kind of go the route that they did, and it's like, you're an idiot. I mean, you're a freaking idiot. You don't even understand what you've done. You're so happy that you maybe saved a few kids from becoming Nick addicts, but you don't realize what you've done to a good portion of America. So now's a good time to get them off their soapbox a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I say too. Like, what about my kid?
Yeah.
What happens if I go back to smoking, which I would never do, but that's not going to be the same for everyone, No,
and I think it's okay to use yourself as a hypothetical, because I mean, when you're talking about people in the third person, like, well, what about Aunt Millie down the road who just learned how to vape? You're going to make her go back to smoking. I mean, if you speak to them and say, and you present yourself as the hypothetical, you hope that they're watching and you hope that they're listening. I've just found that with a lot of the politicians on there, they're one-track minded, agendaed people. Like if Greg Connolly kind of got into it with a particular representative it was a female representative. I don't remember her name specifically. But, he's like, look, I'd love to just set up like a coffee day and, I'll hang out with you and I'll talk about vaping and all this other stuff. And real quick, she's like, well, look, you can advocate for nicotine all you want. She's like, I'm advocating for prevention and some other big word that she threw out there. So but you kind of get an idea of where their mindset is at that point and whether or not you'll be able to actually, make a difference with some of them. Don't be argumentative with them. They're not going to listen to you if you just want to call them names and, because it's hard not to want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Trust me. Yeah. It's really hard.
Well, and now a lot of people know that they can't block you. Politician can't block you. So
no.
Yeah, so that just made it a little worse.
Feel the fire.
There are plenty that will block you though. There's plenty that'll get on there and they start mouthing off, and then as soon as you come up with some really good argumentative points,
I've been blocked by people that I like that I've never even had any kind of interaction with. I'm like, okay, maybe I was just tied to something, and
you were collateral damage in a followers list is how that kind of worked out.
Yeah, well, I guess with the name Allie Vapes, it's kind of like,
I heard of you.
It's one of those bots again.
You with all your science and data, just posting all those studies, credible studies all day. What's wrong with you?
Well, it is news and advocacy time with Mr. Tim Swift. Do you need this guy to dance with you a little bit there?
No.
A little Snoop Dogg. All right, Timmy.
Lay back with my mind on my money.
Don't start. I'm gonna start singing that song. Damn it! I'm gonna be singing that song for 3 freaking days now.
You're welcome.
Here you go, Timmy.
Woo! All right, I've got the fan behind me, so if my papers just stick to my camera, I apologize to everyone out there in vape land. All right, I think it's time for a few taps. What does everybody think? There it is. There's the taps. I see him in the chat. And has anybody come up with a new bumper for me yet? I still have yet to see the bumper submissions rolling in. It's like hotcakes, and we haven't gotten one.
Oh, so Tim, I'm going to get creative tonight and make one for you.
I might end up having to make one for myself.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Allie, just so you know, that's my only bumper, Swifty in the News. We didn't make that. That was provided for us. Thank you very much to the person that actually put a little effort into it. I've challenged the chat to create bumpers, musically, cartoons, whatever they want.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll like a handful of them, and then we can have different bumpers for me going in. All right, so news and advocacy tonight. I think it's imperative that the presiding story tonight is the one that we've kind of hinted to, and I'm sure everybody in chat already knows what's going on. We've talked about all of this leading up to what happened roughly about 7 days ago, and preceding that with some of the MDOs that were issued a little early on. We have shared lists. I have that list. I have the what I think is the full list of vapor companies that were affected by the MDOs that were handed out leading up to September 9th. But there's just a lot of, I think it's worthy to talk about exactly what happened, where we're at. Not everybody has been not all of vaping has been banned at this point. There are companies that are surviving. I did review the list. I didn't see any major. I saw a couple major names on there that are familiar to me. The greater majority of those names are not companies that I'm personally familiar with. I feel like those are a little bit more locality type companies. They may have some distribution channels, but I've never bought anything from them. And if I did buy something from them, it had a different name on it, and I didn't know they made it. So we'll talk about the list, but I just kind of wanted to do a summation of what happened on the 9th of September, which was the 1-year anniversary, if you want to call it, of the PMTA deadline, when companies were required to submit their PMTAs in order to keep their products on the market for a full calendar year, leading up to a decision that needed to be made. I affectionately called September 9th, 2021 P Day. That was PMTA Day. But on P Day, everybody hold on to their bladders. On P Day, the FDA effectively banned the sale of hundreds of thousands of vaping products. However, they delayed the much anticipated decision or ruling on Juul. That's the one that I think vaping as a whole has been under the microscope, but Juul is the one everyone's kind of been hanging on the edge of their couch about. Like, if Juul gets taken off the market, that's it. That's it for vaping in totality. Now, mind you, Juul, even though I think they're the biggest thorn in the side of this whole entire process, they kind of did the most in terms of kind of trimming themselves down. I think they had to kind of walk themselves back and try to look good in the eyes of politicians. So while we're all about our 5, multi-layered flavored e-liquids that were all like my Pink Punch Zero that's still awesome as hell, the government or the FDA had effectively ordered all of the flavors off the market, so in pod form. So Juul pulled all of their flavors, and they're down to basically mint and tobaccos, I think is really where they were left. So it does make a lot of sense that if Juul got the boot, that it was pretty much curtains for the rest of us, right? Other than maybe being lucky enough to have tobacco flavored e-liquid left on the market. This actually was a court deadline. The FDA was ordered by the court to rule on the PMTA. We all know there was about 6.5 million PMTA applications submitted. They real quickly wiped out about 4.5 million of those, I believe, even before we got to this point. A lot of those were because of incomplete PMTAs or failure of the companies to correct things that were inconsistent. And then leading up to the 9th, I think we had determined it was about 55,000 products or something like that, I think, up until that point. It was first thought that Juul would be prioritized, like they talked about. They said that they were going to focus on the PMTAs, the companies that had the largest market share. So Juul, Views, companies like that. Ironically, they were the one that the FDA balked on and delayed their entire ruling on. So I don't know that we have an end game just yet for Juul. Who knows how long this is going to take? But in that process, almost 950,000 other vape products got MDO letters issued to them. Market denial orders, for people who want to know what an MDO is. Basically, that is that they were issued essentially a rejection. It was insufficient scientific evidence, which I am questioning the FDA's scientific evidence. I think it was more feelings versus facts, and it was like, oh, but the kids are still going to want it, so you can't prove otherwise. Most of the excitement from the vaping opponents was lauded the actions taken by the FDA. However, they're still not fully satisfied and felt that the FDA didn't go far enough. Basically, these yucca-pucks just wanted us flat out banned. They wanted us to go into an absolute prohibition.
Hold on. What was that word you called them, Tim?
Yucca puffs. That's not a word you guys use in Wisconsin? Yucca puffs?
No, sir, it is not.
Okay. What about the word malarkey? Do you use the word malarkey up there?
Malarkey.
Malarkey. My dad would say that's a bunch of malarkey.
Old-timey grandpas do.
It's a nice way of saying bullshit, Tom. That's all I'm saying.
Tim.
You say bullshit.
Tim, stop dating us, Tim. Stop dating us.
I'm sorry. Okay. Next week, I'm gonna just go get like the top 50 dad words, and that's all we're gonna talk about on the show. Thingamabob. Are
you gonna wear some New Balance shoes and white socks and
hell no, I'm getting black socks with the suspenders. Anyhow, let's move on back to the news. There's a bit of a segue there. We got into something completely weird there for a minute. Oh, I wanted to share the article because there's a couple things I wanted to read. Let me do that. I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody. No visual aid was shared.
What?
I'm redeeming myself. There you go, John.
All right. You got it. Is it going to be some advertising?
Well, there's always advertising on all these sites I get onto. It's luckily none of it is slathered with Pornhub. Although I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people in chat who wouldn't mind that. Luke.
Luke.
Anyway, I wanted to read the Truth Initiative statement. Basically, their commentary. I got to find out where it was, though. I lost my place. This is the other person, Theodore Wagner. Where's? Oh, here we are. Truth Initiative. Okay, so
say no, Tim. Say no.
I'm going to tell it to wait. Apparently, the Pornhub ads were trying to bust through. Okay. So Truth Initiative, which I always harp on them. I love when Truth Initiative makes comments on Twitter because they're so full of shit that I don't think they should be allowed to use the word truth in their name, their name. But this is what the Robin Koval said regarding the FDA ruling. Said we here. Wait, where's the copy editor when you need them? We very concerned. We are very concerned that they did not prioritize. Thank you. My mom raised me on a red pen, John. What do you want?
I know.
We are very concerned that they did not prioritize and complete the reviews of the companies with over 75% of the e-cigarette market as they promised to do, especially category leader Juul, who started the e-cigarette epidemic in the first place, followed by Vuse, Blue, and Enjoy, who round out the top brands, said Robin Koval, CEO and president of Truth Initiative, a public health nonprofit funded by Bloomberg. This is the crux of it. This is what these people want gone. The irony in all of this is the fact that, they use the kids as the ammo, right? They walk on their backs and say, well, Juul got the kids addicted, never mind that they're kids and they like to experiment. But the fact that they want these gone, yet the majority of these companies have some ties back to big tobacco, right? And yet they don't fight as fervently against getting rid of smoking and cigarettes and combustible tobacco. So they're like, yeah, screw big tobacco. Oh, but let's let big tobacco kind of stay relevant by keeping their other combustible products on the market. So, but that's really what these people wanted. Others who are against vaping, they kind of felt like the scrutiny the FDA is using as sort of the right approach. If there is a particular right approach, they think that the FDA kind of scrutinizing things and kind of taking a slow walk around the process and really looking at things and trying to determine whether or not Juul should be on the chopping block. They think that they're taking a more measured approach. I'm sorry, I disagree. I think that there's a lot of money in play right now, and they know that if they get rid of Juul and they take it off the market, that there's something that's gonna interrupt them from being able to be letting lobbyists come in and sort of keep them. They know that they're a monetary powerhouse, and that if you keep them on the market, somehow they'll come up with MSA version 2.0, and they'll be able to pull money out of Juul's pockets and kind of, to some degree, allow it to kind of survive. Now, with who's to say? The fact that they just immediately issued these MDOs is a little counterproductive to the whole entire thing. Since January, the agency has issued more than 170 warning letters to vendors selling products that did not have PMTAs properly filed. On Thursday, though, this was on the 9th, the agency denied PMT applications for more than 946,000 products.
That's crazy.
That's monstrous. I mean, you're talking 1 million products. Now, one of the companies that was involved in the early MDOs, and I don't remember their name, they'll be on the list I'm getting ready to share. They filed like some really cheesy or PMTAs on a bunch of products, and I went in and looked. They had a spreadsheet that you could open up and look at all the products that they offered, because they apparently they alone. I don't know. Sorry for my grammar. I read the spreadsheet. I'm like, how does a company have like 1 million products? Like, I don't even know. Like Jam Monster, they got a lot, but I mean, not 1 million, But it turned out, like, if you looked at their list, they had like every variation of every flavor and every different like blend, like PGVG mix, like everything from 2 to 4 to 6 to 10 to 18 to 14 and a half, Nick levels. I mean, the variations were enough that it was kind of almost stupid. It's like, it was almost like who has time to make all those blends anyway? But yeah, so I was like, but 946,000 products is massive. Many feel Juul will survive the process and Juul products will not be pulled from the shelf, while hundreds of thousands of smaller manufacturer products, which we use and enjoy, will be forced to pull their products from the shelves. I wanted to read one other final comment at the bottom of this article. I'll kind of put everything into a nutshell for you. No, vaping is not totally banned or anything. It's just that a lot of products that many people in the chat who watch the show that is this Wagner's comment here? No, his is way the heck down here.
Let me ask Allie a quick question. Something you just said. Do you think there was a lot of companies that were out there that just didn't want to cut their inventory, that just felt, that pride, that just like, we're going to do this, we'll show you, we're going to submit, like Tim said.
A lot of them just wanted to send a lot of paperwork, I think. And
I think it's that too as well. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll show.
Like flood the system, make it, the big middle finger to the FDA. We're just going to basically make you look at it, even though it's not complete.
Yeah.
I apologize. Maybe Allie, you can comment on who Wagner is. Are they from Truth Initiative as well?
I think so. I know I posted this article somewhere.
Right there. Okay. Cigarettes are more harmful.
Well, this was sort of the final comment from this particular person. It just said that cigarettes are more harmful than e-cigarettes. This was some acknowledgement that it is common knowledge that it is known that e-cigarettes do provide a benefit to people who were smokers or currently are smokers. This kind of tethered off of the idea that a lot of people that vape are dual users, that people that do vape still smoke cigarettes from time to time. And I do think that that's an element of it as you transition off. I mean, you may not find that perfect thing right away. And even then, the blue didn't do it for me. Like, I was still smoking and trying with the blue, and then I had to move on to other products. But cigarettes are more harmful than e-cigarettes, Wagner said, and the only way e-cigarettes fit into a public health strategy is marketing them as a tool to help adults stop smoking. Thank you, Mr. Wagner. We've tried that. We tried that, and the FDA took that away from us. Yeah. Basically, we can't say that it's better for you, or we can't tell people that because you've prevented us. The deeming regulations prevented people from making those claims. So you're kind of hamstringing us. But you make a very valid point. Yes, we should be able to do that. Yeah. Perceptions of e-cigarettes have changed over the last years, where a lot of adults are now confused about what is more harmful. Thanks, media. He said, any amount of sustained dual use is not helpful at all. E-cigarettes must be marketed as a cigarette alternative. Duh. I don't. These, and if this isn't evidence enough to know that the antis know the truth, but they're being peddled money on a false propaganda mission to try to get rid of it for some reason. Why they want it gone? There's a deeper agenda involved in that. I mean, obviously, if you're getting paid, you're going to say whatever that person paying you wants you to say. But they know the truth. They know the truth. But that's kind of like where we're at. So what I wanted to do is now people may be asking the question: 946,000 products. What companies were issued MDOs? So I have that list. And let's review, right? So if you know any of these names, a couple of them, I did. Look at the one in there that is really bothering me. There's one that's bothering me massively right now. So the first one to go out was Great American Vapes, JD Nova Group, limited liability company. That's the one that had the million flavors. Yeah. Vapor Salon. I believe it was Great American Vapes. I actually did a little research on, and to me they seem like a local type outfit, and they had 150 different flavors that were like stuff they made in house. Then by August 30th, Big Time Vapes got hit. As of August 31st, look at the middle of that list, kids. Yeah. I'm Sad Panda right now. Custom Vapors was hit. Gothic Vapor, J Vapor. And then right there, SS Vape Brands Incorporated, Monster Vape Labs. Those are my boys. I mean, I don't know them personally, but that's my favorite. One of my favorite lines.
That's your line, Tim.
That's my favorite line.
Daniel, start mixing stuff for Tim.
What Daniel's mad about the part C that we're going to talk about. SWT Global Supply, the vaping tiger names. September 1st. Here's more. Buckshot, I recognized.
Buckshot.
Blow
that up a little bit more, Tim. Can you?
Absolutely, sir. What size would you like? 200, 300? How big you want?
There you go. Beautiful.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Some of these I don't know. Niquid. Royalty
Vapor.
Premium. Sir Vapes a lot. I was familiar. I know that name.
Yeah.
Dominant Vapor.
Royalty Premier.
Premium. I don't know that one.
Yeah.
Some of these I just don't know. Allison Vapeland. I do know. I remember the labels. I think I remember that one. As of September 2nd, Millennial One, the finest e-liquid, Vaping Oasis, Wyoming Vapor Company, Liquid Nix.
And you said, Tim, that these people don't get a reason why, right?
They do not give you a specific reason why. They just come up with a blanket statement that their scientific evidence did not prove that it was enough to prevent the youth from wanting to continue to vape. Basically, the idea behind the scientific evidence was to show that the net health benefit to adults quitting smoking was greater than the risk to youth usage. And all the FDA is doing is pulling 2019, 2020 survey studies that show a percentage of youth, and these numbers are skewed tremendously. Anyway, it was 3 million kids, or 80% of the youth are trying vaping. But that's not, these aren't all day, everyday addicted vapors. These are kids that tried it once in 30 days and never tried it again. They just showed no interest in it, didn't do anything for them. But that's their metric for measuring this. So, when your scientific evidence is not really scientific and it's based on conflated statistics, I mean, how are you going to fight it? I don't know what scientific evidence these people are putting together, because you're not allowed to see that. Gen Q public can't see what the scientific evidence submitted was, and you get the generic response as to why the MDO was issued.
Allie, were the labels considered in these as well? Did you have to submit a label as well?
Yeah, we had to submit labels. We had to submit basically everything. Which a lot of the information they already had, because all of our products were registered. But we actually, with the USVA, have been collecting MDOs, trying to work with these people and get them some litigation to help them maybe with a potential appeal. And I could tell you that every single MDO is exactly the same. It's the exact same reasoning.
It's a form letter
of all the 20 that we've seen or more. And not only that, but they say that they have all of this information, but they just can't give it all right now. So, but if you want to resubmit a PMTA, you can. So you're not telling me what's wrong with my PMTA.
That's so fucking stupid, man.
It's the Facebook arbitration process.
Yeah,
we're blocking you permanently. Why though? What did I do? You violated any one of 35 rules. Take your pick. Go. You pick one. Whatever one you like.
This behavior, but we'll let you know whenever we feel like it what you actually did wrong.
Isn't that the thing with those of us that have children, that you don't punish your kids unless you explain to them what they did wrong,
what they did.
So they don't do it wrong again.
Yeah,
that's like me telling my kid, "You're punished. Go to your room." But Dad, no, I don't have to explain myself. Go to your room. I'm the FDA.
Yeah.
Do you think that? I don't know these companies, and I don't know what their labels look like, but do you think a lot of it might have been due to labeling, cartoon characters?
Well, I mean, that was the whole reason that deficiencies were issued, though. If you received a deficiency and you complied and you fixed the problem, I honestly, truly believe that this is like a blanket ban for all of these people, but there's no explanation of the reasoning behind it.
All right.
Yeah, I do know that several companies who got issued some of their MDOs, they didn't fully complete their EPA study and stuff like that.
And some didn't comply with, like if they did get a deficiency, they didn't comply. But I can tell you that The majority of the ones that we've seen have been literally no reason, that you don't have evidence to show that what you said earlier, that
One more quick question. You say you can resubmit. Do you have a time frame for resubmitting, or is
there's no time frame whatsoever? There's nothing. There's no information about like if you can leave your stuff on the shelf for 30 days and sell it, or if you have to pull it. There's nothing.
Limbo. So again, there's no guidance to anybody. It's kind of like the deeming regs. It's like, we don't know what we're supposed to do. We don't know what we're supposed to do. And okay, now you got like 3 months to get it all done. Here's what you got to do.
Let me change it right before the end.
Yeah. Let me change it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, you can go to vaping360.com in the vape news if you want to review this list and see if some of your favorite companies are on here.
Mine is.
Yeah, mine is. It's rather unfortunate in that regard. But a lot of these companies have markets elsewhere too. Like they're not going to die. They're still going to sell their products internationally. They'll still be able to do that. Here, it's going to become harder to get the stuff. And without telegraphing the vape industry right now, because I just don't want to say it in case there's some wandering ears that are out there. But a lot of these companies will find another way to kind of come back. I'm just saying. They'll find another way to come back, even if it's a matter of a loophole. I just hope they're not quick to act on that plan B too quickly. But that said, feel free to review the list. But these are all companies that are going to be expected to pull their products soon. They probably are going to give them a grace period to sell through whatever they can, and then.
But it's not listed. It's like that's so frustrating. So what do you do?
What do you do? The Facebook user is Paul. Say hello to Paul, our Aussie buddy.
Oh, is that Paul Blamir?
Yeah. Hey, Paul. Fuck you.
Hey, Paul. Some flosters.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the list. And then this other one I wanted to bring up was really more or less sort of a just sort of like a backup to the FDA article that was shared. This is CASA again. CASA is a wonderful source of information regarding the vapor industry. If you're just unsure of exactly what's going on, they're the ones who are going to issue most of the calls to action, either you're in your local, in your state or federally. But they kind of wanted to provide some backup at like exactly what's going on. I thought this was kind of helpful. There was really only one thing that I thought kind of stood out that I wanted to kind of cover. Because we all know what PMTA means. Did they approve cigarettes?
They got a seal of approval, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We approve it, and then we're going to tell you that it kills you. There was one section. Here's what I was basically alluding to before. What can consumers do to stop the FDA from banning more products? To clarify, an MDO or RTF is not a ban. They mean that the pre-market application for a particular product is either incomplete or that the evidence presented failed to satisfy the FDA, and the product cannot be sold legally in the United States. This is the part of the authorization process. This is part of the authorization process and is being carried out under court order. At the same time, anti-tobacco activists are promoting prohibition at the state and local level. That's your PAVEs and your Truth Initiatives and your Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids and all those yucca pucks, Tom. While the prospects of seeing a flavored vapor product authorized by the FDA appear bleak at the moment, many people in tobacco control are visibly worried that something other than tobacco flavor will be authorized for sale. Even though states are not allowed to enforce their own product standards, the TCA does not prohibit them from regulating sales of tobacco products. There is still a need to educate lawmakers about tobacco harm reduction and equip them to resist flavor bans. And I think that's just an important part. I mean, we have to convince people why flavors are important. There I go. I just picked up a northern accent right there. Important. Because
irregardless.
That's not a word, John.
I know.
That is not a word, John.
I know it's not a word.
No, that flavors are, even though kids like flavors, adults like flavors too, and it's really the key cog in what separates us and gets us away from smoking. It's that flavor separation, and that is really the key success in it all. And I don't think that they've quite grasped that. They just see it as, well, kids like flavors. They like cotton candy, and they like mango, and they like all these things. It's like, well, no shit, Sherlock. Do you like that mango flavored vodka you drink when you get home at night? You like that half gallon of black cherry ice cream that's in your refrigerator that you got to have a scoop of, before you go to bed. But we can't stop. I mean, even though it's gonna be ugly here for a while, and we're all gonna have to figure out a way to survive. I think some of the key to that success is we got to not think individually, and we have to think collectively. And that is that if we're gonna survive, we all kind of have to be watching out for each other, not about just how each of us can survive on an individual level. Right. So that said, let's move on to, I think, the most important one, the one that Daniel brought up and was talking about earlier in the week. I know he's brought it up because he's a DIYer. Right. So there's been a bill that's been introduced. This is our advocacy portion of the show, folks. No, it's not. This is, the doom and gloom is outside of here, but this is all about staying positives, right? So there was a bill, and this is it's mostly, I hate to pull politics into the whole argument. There's it's a bipartisan situation, but the House Ways and Means Committee have revealed that it's considering a tax proposal on nicotine and tobacco. Now, this is in totality. This isn't just about vaping. While it will impact nicotine mostly in terms of vapor products, everything's going to take a hit. Cigarettes are going to become more expensive. Cigars are going to get hit, which is, they've usually been able to skirt everything. Somehow cigars just, they're too debonair of a product that, that you can't mess with a cigar. There's a chart, and I could not find the chart. If Tom or anybody can find that chart, or Daniel, you can send us that chart real quick. But we can kind of go over what's going to go down, right? Here it is, right here. Never mind.
I was going to say it should be.
I found the chart, everybody. I found the chart.
Good job.
Look.
Good job, Tim.
Yes, thank you. Last second research. Nicotine used in vapor products, synthetic, TFN, and tobacco derived, $100.66 per 1,810 milligrams of nicotine, or 5 cents a milligram.
5 cents a milligram.
Could have gone to sentence 2 right away and saved everybody the hassle. To put this in more relatable terms, see the table below.
Yeah.
Bam. All right. So that's basically how nicotine is going to get taxed. So at 100 milligram nicotine, which is what most DIYers are buying, I don't know. They won't let me click on the whole picture. Thanks, Kasa.
You're going to blame Kasa?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Daniel said he sent it to you.
Okay, cool. All right, maybe I can pull it up. We can kind of, minus the change, I think we can kind of see what's going on. So most DIYers are buying nic strength at 100 milligram. And then you look at how much you're going to buy. This is your tax only. This is not what the cost of the product is on top of all that. But let's say you just want to buy 120 mil of 100 milligram nic to DIY. You're looking at almost $700 in tax just to buy that. So see, they're finding every way to attack
every
us
portion
and shut us down. So even if they can't ban it from the shelves and prevent people from buying it, they're going to make it so it's just so damn expensive to even acquire. I don't know. I mean, anybody that bought, I'm going to assume these taxes will be retroactive and will affect your purchasing of e-liquid in general, right? Because you've got a portion of that nicotine inside the products that you're vaping. So I don't have a breakdown for that. This is basically just nic on its own.
On its own.
Nic
but this was going to affect our cost for a bottle of e-liquid. Because the manufacturer is going to have to make up that difference. I mean, they're not
be passed on.
They're ordering more than 1,000 milliliters. I can guarantee you that. But yeah, I mean, that's going to jump. That's just like what they're paying in Philadelphia for a bottle of e-liquid. So it's back to those early days of pricing where a 15 ml bottle was $23. So
yeah. And the most infuriating element of it for me is that this is tobacco harm reduction, and you're effectively taxing it heavier than you are the deadly item that we're trying to get people away from. So how are you going to save smokers if you're going to basically make them pay 3, 4, 5 times as much as the thing that we know causes 500,000 deaths per year?
Yeah.
It boggles the mind how these people operate.
I'm surprised that this is even out, because this has got to affect companies like Nicorette and all these other ones that are using nicotine as well.
Well, Chauncey Gardner, he made a really good argument about that, and that
all the pharmaceutical companies, they can't get around this.
No, because it'll be a federal situation, unless they find a way to write a clause in there that NRTs won't be impacted.
Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah, there you go.
Just like how cigars always had their little clause, like we're we were going to do this to everybody else but cigars.
Cigars.
And I got nothing against cigars. I've smoked them before. I've puffed on them before. Anyhow, but we're here for one reason, and that reason is that we need to fight against this tax, right? Because it's going to impact and affect everyone. So once again, we bring you back to the CASA website. If you're not signed up for CASA or you're not on this website, they really sort of make it easy peasy lemon squeezy. They should make a vape liquid called that, easy peasy lemon squeezy. I can't submit a PMTA for it. I can't submit a PMTA for it.
Note to self. No, you're too late, Tim.
Exactly. Anyway, they kind of set it up for you so that you really don't have. I mean, it's effortless, right? You just get on. You can go here. It's a national call to action. This is not at the state level. You get on there. All you got to do is put your first name, your last name, your email address, all your pertinent data, and they basically write a letter for you. You don't have to write the letter. If you want to, you still got 733 characters left. If you're loquacious like me, then maybe you'll add more. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
You don't have to add anything if you don't want to. But in the end, this is where you have your opportunity to make your voice get heard, right? And this will go out to all the relative senators that are relative to you. But that doesn't mean you can't pick up a phone and you can't call people directly. I'm just saying, if you want to be heard, it's that easy. And then you just hit send your message. And then you'll probably get some format response from a computer that says, thanks for your letter. And then you'll get some other format response letter that says, we appreciate your opinion, and I'm fighting for the health of blah, 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 blah. You're going to get stuff. But it's about numbers. Go ahead, Tom.
I got 2 of those automated responses like 2 minutes after I hit send your message.
Yes. You get like the acknowledgement that they received it, and then you'll get like the senator's response.
Yeah. I'm not holding my breath.
But I think it's important to note that while we might get those formatted responses from these people, they don't have a gauge on exactly who's affected if it isn't in the form of numbers. They need to see mass numbers of these coming through and go, whoa, holy crap, I got, 100,000 of these myself. How many did you get down the hall? I got 250,000 of them. But a lot of times people balk on this stuff. I'm not coming down on people for not doing it. I'm just saying it makes all the sense in the world. If you could do the littlest possible thing, if this is the maximum effort that you want to give to advocacy, it really is a no effort situation.
Yeah, Tim, since you're on that page, can you start from the home page and show everybody how to get to that page? Because they changed it. I don't know if a lot of people.
I would love to show you that, John.
Yeah, because they changed their site.
So basically, when you get on, you'll see get
involved. Yeah,
get involved at the top, and then you go to nationally.
Yeah,
and then you should see the national cause to action. A little scroll down, and right here it's the very first one. This one This one hadn't really happened. really hadn't happened yet. But anyway, this is the first one, and then all you gotta do is click on that, and then it takes you right to where I was, and there you have it, folks. It's that simple. It was a 3-click process.
Yep, it is. Sure is. And it'll show you who your representative is after you fill it out. It'll show you.
Yeah, it'll just automatically populates the names.
And it'll even ask you if you want a response. So you can click on there as well. If you don't want a response, if you do want a response, you can also click that box.
But it's just so simple, people. And if you're not pissed off now and wanting to fight, I don't know what else is left. Just completely take it away, and then you'll be mad. You still got a window. That's all I'm saying.
To the window. No, I'm not going to sing that song.
No. Mine was bad enough. We don't need yours. And that, my friends,
is the news.
Is your news. Sorry, Curtis.
Thank you, Tim. That's it? Oh, man, I was waiting for like this. There you go. See,
you're welcome.
There you go.
Welcome. It's my pleasure.
Allison, we want to thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you taking the time coming on, get to know you a little bit better. Yeah, Tim has been advocating to get you on the show. He's like, I'm on her Twitter. Let's get her on the show. I'm always on.
I try to make her laugh, man. I try to make her laugh. Maybe she'll like us.
So we're really
thanks so much for having me, guys.
We appreciate it. Like I said, everybody, I'll have the links in the chat. It will also be on the ZampleBox community page. All the links will be on there and on the Wednesday night live show. Is there anything else you want to add before you go out?
No, not right now. Not anything nice to say right now.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Take another sip of that scotch.
That's right.
and then it'll just
tell us how you really feel.
It'll just come flying out there. Thank you.
I would like to highlight something that Mallory just said, that Allie is much better looking than Brian.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a given. That's a given.
That's a no-brainer.
No, we appreciate you jumping in here and coming on with us and sharing a little bit about yourself. And like I said, everybody head on over to her pages. They'll all be linked on there. Check out ECIG of Charleston and check them out. And hopefully everything works out with you guys. You guys have a lot of work to do with your resubmitting your PMTA. That sucks. That whole thing just makes me go. And like I said, I think a lot of companies just say, let's just pound them. Let's send everything, because like I go to this vape shop, Switch to Vapor. They have a book that's 8-10 pages. And I can't just imagine the process that they would have to go through to get those through, and to just
it's insane.
I think a lot of, I feel bad for some of the companies that just stepped away and just said, we're done. We can't do this. It's so
bad. They just couldn't do it anymore, or they couldn't afford to keep going. You know?
Or just didn't fully understand the process, and it just like, we don't have time for this. So, and like most of these people, they're family-owned businesses, so they got to take care of the kids.
They're running a business.
Tom, Tim, anything for Allie before we go?
No,
I just wanted to say thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for everything you do for vaping and fighting the good fight.
And same to you guys. We're not going to give up until they take us out in handcuffs. That's for sure.
Hell no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go.
Tom,
thanks,
I can't say it any better than Tim did.
That's right. You could. When we first started this show a couple years ago, Tom would always just say what Tim said.
Tim has a much better way with words than I do. He uses them old-timey grandpa words that are just awesome.
Grandpa words.
Old-timey grandpa words. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody out there in chat. I hope you enjoyed this show. We'll see everybody back on our regular time, Wednesday at 6 p.m. And again, thank you, Allie, for joining us.
Thanks.
And thank you, Tim and Tom. And we'll see everybody next week.
Later.
Let me find the right bumper out.